Popularity. Prince Charles is the longest serving heir apparent in British history, but he hasn't enjoyed great popularity with people since more private details about his marriage to Diana, Princess of the People, became public knowledge. One 2018 poll showed that the popularity of the man who is now king is decreasing, while a recent Express poll revealed that people would prefer other royals ascend to the throne. Harsh, yes, but it's not completely without cause. William and Kate. Prince William and Duchess Kate and their 3 children are adored in England. In fact, a survey by BMG Research reveals that nearly half of British public want Prince Charles to step aside and give the throne to his oldest son now that the Queen has passed. Prince William and Duchess Kate have now been married for nearly a decade. The Atlantic calls them a fairy tale with their picture-perfect family and their distinct lack of scandals. Plus, Prince William and Prince Harry are the most liked royals since records began, according to the Evening Standard, so it makes sense that people want to see the most liked royals on the throne. They said Prince Harry's popularity may have taken a bit of a hit since he and Meghan stepped back from their royal duties, but it's still there. Princess Diana is still in our hearts. Princess Diana once said that she wanted to be the queen of people's hearts, and that was very much proved to be the case. It's also a big reason many people don't like her ex. They still haven't forgave him for how he treated Diana during their ill-fated marriage. King Charles publicly admitted that he started having an affair with Camilla in 1986 while he was still married to Princess Diana. He also treated Princess Diana poorly on a number of occasions. But in hindsight, we are finding out that Princess Diana treated him poorly on multiple occasions too, so there's 2 sides to each story. He's considered a petulant king. If you peruse most of the best-selling books about the real life of the royals, you'll see that King Charles isn't exactly praised by biographers. Even those with a credible connection to the king are quick to point out his flaws. For example, Tom Bower, the author of Rebel Prince, describes King Charles as being petulant and uncaring about the times when he causes harm. Some of his private rants and tantrums have been made public, further damaging his reputation. A longer reign shows consistency. His reign is inevitably going to be far shorter than the late Queen's time on the throne. While King Charles was 3 years old when he became the heir apparent. He is now, considering the late Queen became Queen when she was 25 years old. The fact that King Charles will have such a short reign concerns some people. Why? Because change on a grand scale can be scary, while consistency gives people a sense of what to expect. His good work doesn't make headlines. Although the new King Charles does in fact put a lot of work in as a royal and doing his royal deeds, unfortunately biographers have depicted such a poor picture of him due to Diana and all his other scandals that a lot of the work he does doesn't in fact make headlines, and it's not heard of due to the overlapping of the scandals he's been involved with. Therefore, his popularity doesn't grow with good work, but decreases with scandals. Animals. Although King Charles has taken a stand on important environmental issues such as sustainability and climate change, he has fallen pitifully short on animal welfare issues, whereas Prince Harry chose not to participate in a grouse hunt recently. How heroic. King Charles has gone so far as to calling fox hunting romantic. Animals' rights is a growing topic of concern for Brits, so he is not going to win supporters by holding fast to those ideas and being vocal about them. Described as a snob, King Charles doesn't possess the charm and warmth that Princess Diana had. He comes across as aloof, and the New Yorker even described him as a snob. Although it may be unfair to compare King Charles to those who haven't been raised to view protocol and proper behavior as such a priority, the king doesn't always seem to be eager to relate to ordinary people. Prince William, on the other hand, has reached out to people much as his mother did, and he has a compassionate way about him. This is what many people want to see in a king. Afraid of failure. The role of a monarch is not one to be taken lightly by any means, and people fear that King Charles just doesn't have what it takes to rise to the occasion. Whether because of his personality traits or capabilities or something else entirely, if people don't have confidence that he will do a good job, it will be hard for them to go behind him. How do you think he's been doing? Security threats. Now that the king's in the spotlight, unfortunately, the egg won't be the last time we see someone try to assault the king. Unfortunately, this is just a realisticality of having a fanatic group of supporters for Diana, and although it was a while ago these issues happened, in the spotlight now this is going to rise to the top, and we're going to see a lot of people going against the now king. The late Queen Elizabeth had a lot of people on her side where the new King Charles doesn't, and this could raise a lot of security threats in the future, especially trying to proceed in his royal duties of doing walkabouts and charity funds and being out in the public. Now, I know there are going to be taking security measures, but you can only be so careful. Tragedy does happen. Age. Of course, people work effectively past 75 in many professions. Some stay vital into their 90s or even beyond, and most societies would benefit from gleaning more wisdom from their elders. However, presiding over a nation state is unlike most other jobs in the world. Charles at least holds a ceremonial post. The stakes for other world leaders are far higher, rendering cognitive decline an unusual fraught problem, and stress, grueling schedule, and sleep deprivation can exacerbate the effects of aging. How imprudent for a great power such as the United States to have presidential elections in which septuagenarians vie for the presidency while the public watches debates for signs of dementia. 7 US senators are in their 80s. Some current and former members of Congress have struggled to carry out their duties without constant assistance from their staff. Plus, representation matters. Young people should have more say in the future that they alone will inhabit. Look at Sleepy Joe, for example. Sleepy Joe, although maybe a great guy, I have no idea because I've never met him, nor care for American politics too much, but the guy is clearly past his prime. But the monarch is given to whomever is next in line, and that would be King Charles. What he decides to do with it is up to him. This is nearly entertainment and vague facts from other sources. If you get mad at it, if I'm being honest, it kind of makes me laugh. William and Kate. Prince William, Duchess Kate, and their 3 children are adored in England. In fact, a survey by BMG Research reveals that nearly half of the British public wants Prince Charles to step aside and give the throne to his oldest son now that Queen Elizabeth has passed. Prince William and Duchess Kate have now been married for nearly a decade. The Atlantic calls them a fairy tale with their picture-perfect family and their distinct lack of scandals. Plus, Prince William and Prince Harry are the most liked royals since records began. So it makes sense that people want to see the most liked royals on the throne. That said, Prince Harry's popularity may have taken a bit of a hit since he and Meghan stepped back from their royal duties. Afraid of failure. The role of the reigning monarch is not one to be taken lightly by any means, and many people fear that King Charles just doesn't have what it takes to rise to the occasion, whether because of his personality traits or capabilities or something else entirely. If people don't have confidence that he will do his job, it will be hard for them to get behind him. How do you think he's been doing? His reign is inevitably going to be far shorter than the late Queen's time on the throne. While King Charles was 3 years old when he became heir apparent, the fact that King Charles will have such a short reign concerns some people. Why? Change on a grand scale can be scary, while consistency gives people a sense of what to expect. He's considered a petulant king. If you peruse most of the best-selling books about the real life of the royals, you'll see that King Charles isn't exactly praised by biographers. Even those with a credible connection to the king are quick to point out his flaws. For example, Tom Bower, the author of Rebel Prince, described King Charles as being petulant and uncaring about the times when he caused harm. Some of his private rants and tantrums have been made public, further damaging his reputation. King Charles doesn't possess the charm and warmth that the late Princess Diana had. He came across as aloof, and the New Yorker even described him as a snob. Although it may be unfair to compare King Charles to those who have been raised to view protocol and proper behavior as such a priority, the king doesn't always seem to be eager to relate to ordinary people. Prince William, on the other hand, has reached out to people as his mother did and has a compassionate way about him. This is why many people want to see him as king instead. Animals. Although King Charles has taken a stand on important environmental issues such as sustainability and climate change, he has fallen pitifully short on animal welfare issues. Whereas Prince Harry chose not to participate in a grouse hunt recently, King Charles has gone as far as to call fox hunting romantic. Animal rights is a growing topic of concern for Prince, so he is not going to win supporters by holding fast to his ideas and being vocal about them. I'm sure the king loves dogs and animals in general. He just also loves hunting. So what? I personally am a huge dog guy who absolutely adores dogs, but I also enjoy fishing. I enjoy hunting. And you're gonna tell me I hate animals? No, it's not how it works. Maybe the king just understands other people are doing so much for animal rights, he has decided to put his time somewhere else. Popularity. King Charles is the longest serving heir apparent in British history, but he hasn't enjoyed great popularity with people since more private details about his marriage to Diana, Princess of Wales, became public knowledge. The 2018 poll showed that in popularity of the man who is next in line and throne and now enthroned is decreasing, while a recent Express poll revealed that people would prefer that other royals ascend to the throne. Harsh, we know, but it's not completely without cause. Yes, popularity does in fact matter, considering the royals are being turned into a soap opera and are more entertaining than impactful due to the media's twist on them. It's like high school all over again. They're the cool kids at the cool kid table, and although they may be elegant and smart, no one really cares. They just care about what they wear and what they post on social media. So as much as the king may be making major impacts, and same with Meghan, which you guys aren't gonna like that I said that, and also Harry and William, no one really cares, and it's unfortunate that the media twists this and just says, oh my god, Meghan didn't wear shoes at the beach, instead of, oh my god, Meghan is an empowering woman. Shame on you, media, shame on you. Shame on me too, because I'm the media. Can't and won't forget Diana. The late Princess Diana once said that she wanted to be the queen of people's hearts, and that very much proved to be the case. It's also a big reason many people don't like her ex. They still haven't forgave him for how he treated Diana during their ill-fated marriage. King Charles publicly admitted that he started having an affair with Camilla in 1986, while he was still married to Princess Diana. He also treated Princess Diana poorly on a number of occasions. The public, who is still protective of Diana, seems to be unwilling to move past Charles' past offenses. Hand in hand, dislike for Camilla. The survey from BMG Research also revealed that only 20% of people think Camilla should take the title of queen. Given that King Charles is now married to the other woman, that may also make people feel less inclined to get behind him as the new monarch. That said, even though the majority of people don't like the idea of a Queen Camilla, they have warmed to her. The Guardian reports that the Duchess of Cornwall has won many people's hearts by tirelessly working for her charities without a lot of fanfare. Although she is in a relationship that has been scrutinized like no other, she's a private person and take actions to guard her privacy whenever possible. I think Camilla is making a major comeback, but you let me know your thoughts. They're royals and they make the rules. Before Catherine and Prince William's eldest child was born, the laws of succession were changed to ensure that their baby would be next in line to the throne. Regardless of gender, a less publicized maid at the same time also allowed for future monarchs to marry Catholics. Both rules were greeted with a fair bit of meh. But both new rules in days gone by would have been enough to start a conflict. The firm, as the Queen refers to her lot, are clearly willing to change the rules to move with the times. Arguably, these changes are vital to their long-term survival. Why not go a step further and make William the king and let Charles act as more of a senior royal? A king emeritus, if you'd like. Is he up for it? After spending almost 6 decades preparing to be king, one would assume he's ready for the job, but the man Time magazine recently dubbed the Forgotten Prince is hardly blessed with the wisdom of Solomon. Duchy Originals, a company owned by King Charles, released a range of organic baby care products for an eye-watering £190 to celebrate the birth of Prince George. And let's not forget his range of Golden Jubilee paraphernalia. Prince George and Mummy are to Charles money-making opportunities as well as family. Charles' estate, the Duchy of Cornwall, last year earned him a personal income of £19 million. He voluntarily paid £4.4 million in income taxes, and he doesn't have to pay company tax. Guess which tax rate would cost him more? As of today, Charles will also claim a pension due to his time in the Royal Navy. But it's okay, he says he'll give taxpayers' money to charity. Do you think we're safe in his hands? Well, not me, because I personally don't give a shit. Know what? Might go against the grain on this one, but I trust the man. He served in the Navy. He's been training for this his whole life. I think he'll do all right. At the end of the day, if he doesn't, and he causes complete anarchy within the UK, I don't live there. So, as the comments have mentioned, my opinion doesn't matter. But unfortunately for you, Susan, yours doesn't either, so stay mad.
What do you want from me?
If I can make up the rules like the royals are apparently able to, it would 100% be the demise of humankind. And not in a sinister matter. I would just ban people from wearing helmets on bikes over the age of 20 because, come on, you've had 20 years to learn how to not fall off a bike, lose the bucket, and live with a bit of a risk every once in a while. Australia. Some argue that Charles has a close affinity with Australia due to the time he spent at one of the nation's most exclusive schools, Timbertop. In the 1960s, he's been a regular visitor to these shores and on his last trip donated money to communities ravaged by bushfire. But every time he or any other royal comes here, Australian taxpayers foot the bill. Not part of it, all of it. Thing is, it's not like they're short of a few bob, so why do we pay? So does King Charles really love Australia, or did he just fund a free holiday? I don't know why his holiday of choice would be the Great Down Under, where spiders are the size of a small dog and there are professional boxers for wildlife. Yes, I'm talking about kangaroos. I'm terrified of them. It's definitely not my first choice, but the king ain't scared of no 18-inch spiders, so Australia he goes. But to sum up the video, I think the biggest narrative here is that he's getting a little bit older. And like Sleepy Joe in the States as president, his prime has passed and you see him mumbling words and maybe not living up to what he used to be. But the monarch is given to whomever is next in line, and that would be King Charles. What he decides to do with it is up to him. This is nearly entertainment. These are vague facts from other sources and purely for your enjoyment. If you get mad, if I'm being honest, it makes me laugh. So thank you for the rude comment. Prince Charles is the longest serving heir apparent in British history, but he hasn't enjoyed great popularity with people since more private details about his marriage to Diana, Princess of the People, became public knowledge. One 2018 poll showed that the popularity of the man who is now king is decreasing, while a recent Express poll revealed that people would prefer other royals ascend to the throne. Harsh, yes, but it's not completely without cause. William and Kate. Prince William and Duchess Kate and their 3 children are adored in England. In fact, a survey by BMG Research reveals that nearly half of British public want Prince Charles to step aside and give the throne to his oldest son now that the Queen has passed. He's a people person. Prince William is just that, a people's person. It doesn't matter from which walks of life you are, he will find common ground and take the time out of his day to connect with you, according to many people who have crossed paths with him. He withholds a relatability that not every royal has, that allows him to connect with the public. He went to college, married a commoner, and sent his kids to a regular school. He's the kind of king you can grab a drink with. This quality is very honorary as a king and as a royal in general. Royal experts have claimed he gets this quality from his mother, Princess Diana. Former butler Grant Harold said Diana's legacy makes William's future status as monarch closer to people's hearts. He quotes, "I really think William is a people person. The Queen is as well, but he's a real people's person, as you can see throughout his interactions, hugs, and even how he speaks out about caring for people's mental health and homelessness." Very kind words towards a kind man. He's very adaptable. Prince William has shown adaptability in most, if not all, situations. This is a quality of a king, having the ability to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations and adapt to press and media related events. He can sit through an important royal dinner, pick up his kids from school, walk dogs while on tour Pakistan, you name it, and William doesn't only do well in said situations, but he thrives. A prince who's fit to be a king, I shall add. Compassion is his passion. Prince William has been compassionate since a young age, and that is thanks to Princess Diana, as she started taking him to charity events even from a young age. So he learned at a young age about giving back and caring about others. Over the years, William has been exposed to a variety of places, people, and cultures. As he's grown up, he's taken royal tours to places like Southeast Asia, Pakistan, Canada, New Zealand, and more, knowing a lot about the rest of the world, especially the Commonwealth countries. Through each of these journeys, he has shown compassion for others and the charities he supports, which is a cornerstone to being an amazing king. He's a family man. He's a devoted father and doesn't allow his royal responsibilities to get in the way of that. From playing with his kids in the backyard to dropping them off at school, this also translates to how he treats staff, who over time can become like family to a person. He's been known to take the time to learn people's names and would often spend time with staff in a way more personable formality than other royals. These are things he has decided to do out of the kindness of his heart because realistically he has the ability to ignore staff and have staff take care of his kids, but Prince William is just a great dude. He's comfortable in front of a crowd. He has been addressing large crowds and making public speeches for years and is comfortable doing so. The Queen often had to give public addresses during the most difficult times her country faces. So, as king, the same obligations would apply. Talking in front of crowds is difficult, yes, but now add a massive weight of a historical or tragical event you're now making a statement on, definitely a tense moment. So to be able to handle this situation with finesse and comfortability is a huge plus in my books. He's fun. Like the Queen before him, who is known to be hilarious, William carries said trait and isn't uptight about being a royal. Who could ever forget the great video of William rejoicing after his team won a big game? Obviously no one. He's got a passion and a silly side, which should come in handy. You can't be 100% serious all the time as a monarch, and he shows he can still be human. Joking around, making others laugh, going out and enjoying himself. Letting loose is important because it helps you de-stress from your big important job, and he does that best. He cares about you. Yes, you and everyone else watching this video. He cares about your well-being. William has been fighting against mental health for years now. His Royal Foundation work includes helping adults navigate through mental health at work, helping children deal with mental health at school, and helping erase the stigma around the topic. It helps that William wasn't homeschooled like many other royals before him. He went to various boarding schools as a teen and also attended regular college. So he was more used to being around all types of people. This helps him see day-to-day struggles and grow great values of empathy, which in return means he cares about you. Kate and William. I mean, name a better power couple besides a Karen in a comment section. Kate and William are a dream team. They work well together and offset each other's weaknesses and strengths. Kate is definitely William's rock, and having that person to rely on is a must for any great ruler. William has already opened up about this and the strength that his wife provides him. So his reign as king will be even better with Kate as queen consort. He was there when Harry wasn't. When Harry and Meghan left the monarch, it shrunk the available working pool by a significant portion. That forced everyone to step up more to cover for Harry and Meghan, and William shouldered a lot of that burden. He never stopped working, considering he kept working even after contracting a serious illness for a brief time in 2020. Crazy part is, he didn't even say he was sick. He just head down David Goggins, who's gonna carry the boat, and got what needed to be done. What a true royal and a future king. I'll be proud to see him with the crown. He's an absolute stud. Does this have anything to do with being a king? No. But the guy rocks a suit better than all of Meghan's co-stars in the show suits. He's just always looking dapper and spiffy, with a nice tailored suit for every occasion. I mean, when your wife's Kate the fashionista and your mom was Diana the fashionista, you'll pick up on some traits to which James Bond Prince William did. I don't mean to add more about his attire, but the guy can also rock a tux, which is a difficult skill to acquire, I might add.
He's British. Now this one might seem silly and you're probably thinking, oh well, of course he's British, everyone in the royal family is. And yes, you would be right, but Meghan isn't British, therefore people don't think she should ever ascend to the throne. But just for the sole reason of Harry being British, that's why people feel it's one of the many reasons he should one day be king. He set up the Invictus Games for wounded service people. Since his time in the armed forces, Prince Harry has done all he can to raise awareness and money for wounded service people that have served their country. As part of his initiative, the royals set up the Invictus Games, a sporting competition for wounded warriors. Since he held the first Invictus Games in London in 2014, Orlando has since hosted the games in 2016, and it was announced that Toronto hosted it in 2017. He fought the Taliban from the ground and from the air. Prince Harry, known as Captain Wales in the Army, began his military career at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst in May 2005. Harry was first certified as a tank commander and assigned to a cavalry regiment. Later he deployed to Helmand, Afghanistan as a forward observer with British ground units where he engaged in combat operations against the Taliban. Then in 2009 he began a 2.5-year training course to become a fully operational full-time Army Air Corps helicopter pilot. He completed a 20-week deployment in Afghanistan as a co-pilot gunner on an Apache attack helicopter and since then has flown missions to the UK, having deployed twice and seen combat both times. Harry has taken a new role as a staff officer at the HQ London district. He supports women's rights. During his royal tour to Nepal, Harry spoke out about the need to support women's rights in developing countries. There are too many obstacles between girls and the opportunities they deserve. So many countries and cultures failing to protect the opportunities of young women and girls in the way they do for boys. Adding quote, "I believe it is vitally important for men like me to acknowledge this as loudly and as openly as role models like Nepal's president and activists." Despite being royal, he's still a normal guy. On his first tour of the US, Prince Harry visited the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Before kneeling down at the bottom of a pyramid of cheerleaders, Harry impressively threw a few passes of a football. People have said that a main characteristic they want in a king is someone who can rule and be normal. He's great at responding to awkward questions. Being in the public eye can be difficult, but after a lifetime growing up in the royal family, Prince Harry has become an expert at responding to tricky inquiries. As the royal joined school children to film the TV show Game Changers, one boy asked him, "Are you ever going to be king?" Laughing, Harry replied, "That's the question everybody wanted, let's be honest." You'll be glad to know probably not. How humble of him, but also if anyone is going to be king, they do need to be good at answering awkward questions, because they will be in the public a lot more than he is now. He believes in using his celebrity status for good. Harry believes that there are a lot of people in the public eye that use their status and voice for bad, but Harry doesn't believe in that. You've got to give something back. He's been quoted as saying, "You can't just sit there." He tackles major challenges to raise money for charities. Prince Harry has made it his mission to support injured servicemen and women when they return from battle. In one of his largest challenges, the royal trek to the South Pole on behalf of charity Walking with the Wounded. Despite temperatures of -40°C and winds up to 200 miles per hour, Harry was thrilled to have completed the 210-mile trek and to have raised money for the cause. He loves kids. "I get a huge buzz spending time with kids," he has said. There's even been a video of a sweet little girl stealing Prince Harry's popcorn while he wasn't looking during a volleyball match. His reaction to this? Well, he offered her more. Now, as this isn't a necessity for being king, people do still like that it is a quality he has. He's empathetic and compassionate. After finally speaking out about the difficulties he had after Princess Diana passed away, his mother, Prince Harry had reached out to other children who've lost a parent. "I knew there would always be a gaping hole that could never be filled," he said. "There are children far younger than me, and of course their situation was a great deal more challenging than my own. Nonetheless, we shared a similar feeling of loss. Having a loved one, in my case, a parent snatched away so suddenly," he had continued.
She's popular. Popularity may seem like an unimportant quality for the Queen, but it's actually crucial. Meghan gets tons of people following her moves, paparazzi, media, everything. More media coverage on the royal family could be a great thing for them, being able to spread their messages to more people and get the word out faster for new important updates on them. Number 9, she's a philanthropist. Meghan often gives money to the Archewell Foundation that her and Harry own. Her and Harry have been involved in charity since their wedding. After their wedding, they worked with causes that were close to their hearts. One of these charities being the One Young World and World Vision organization. Number 8, she's an activist. Meghan most recently broke down toxic stereotypes in male film characters. This led to a controversy. However, she remains strong about her stance. This kind of mindset is good to have as a queen, as she would be able to spot and take care of discrimination and misogyny in the royal family and the UK in general. Number 7, she knows what it's like to be a commoner. Although Meghan was an actress before she was a royal, before even acting she worked many part-time jobs. She knows what it's like to get a check and not be able to tell if she can pay her phone bill and other necessities. With this outsider knowledge, her being the queen could lead to her giving more benefits to workers across the United Kingdom. Number 6, she has important skills. As she mastered cursive as an adult and used her skill to get some money. It is essential for a queen to be elegant in everything, including her writing. No letter or signing will be bland ever again, giving her curvy letters a drop of elegance onto the page. Number 5, she speaks 3 languages. Many people do not actually know this, but Meghan Markle actually speaks 3 separate languages, being English, Spanish, and French. The trilingual Meghan can use her knowledge of these languages to complete engagements with ease, especially with foreign parties, as she wouldn't need a translator to communicate with other important
important figures. Number 4. She's practical. Many publications think one of Meghan Markle's best qualities is her practicality. Being practical can be a good thing to be as the Queen. You have to make so many decisions every day that could change the fate of your country. Meghan would know exactly what to prioritize and what to leave for later, meaning she could be efficient in her duties. Number 3. She can handle stress. Meghan has been in the film industry for almost 20 years, so she knows a thing or two about the industry and how stressful it can get with a camera following you around, something royals commonly share. Meghan Markle is an expert in front of a camera and has excellent PR training with film controversies, so whenever the royal family would make a mistake, she'd be there to coach everyone to safety with her PR skills. Number 2. She's taken over some responsibility from Queen Elizabeth II before. When she was still officially a part of the royal family, Meghan actually took on a royal duty that Her Majesty had previously. The duty was to welcome those in the Queen's Young Leaders program to Buckingham Palace in the summer, continuing the role started by the Queen during her lifetime of service to the Commonwealth nations. Number 1. She's enthusiastic. When Meghan first joined the royal family, she exhibited a ton of enthusiasm and passion for the duties given to her. A strong love of helping people, passion, and enthusiasm to do your work is always a good quality in any job. As the Queen, she can inspire many people with her enthusiasm alone. She's got experience. Princess Anne has held her namesake since 1987. She knows all the ins and outs of being a princess and probably has some idea of what it's like to be the Queen. She's Queen Elizabeth II's only daughter, and in December of 2017 it was actually reported that Princess Anne took on the most official engagements that year out of the entire royal family. She travels around the world at least 3 times a year to conduct official royal duties. Number 9. She's reliable. Princess Anne's reputation is well known across the world, and she is known as the royal family's trustiest anchor and a beacon of good old-fashioned public service. She takes care of the work no one else wants to do and gets it done when she says she will. Although she was known when she was younger as her royal rudeness, she is now one of Britain's most famous royals. Number 8. She has commitment. On 2 separate birthdays, her 60th and her 70th, Princess Anne was asked by the BBC and Vanity Fair if she would retire, and both times she has denied it. She explained that she would like to follow in her parents' footsteps and said she was very committed to her royal duties. Speaking of her earlier role, she said, "It's not just about can I tick a box for doing this. No, it's about serving the public." Number 7. She's charitable. The Princess Royal is involved in 300 charities, organizations, and military regiments in the UK and overseas. Her very first public engagement was as an 18-year-old in 1969, when she opened an education and training center in Shropshire. The very next year, she became the president of Save the Children UK. Princess Anne's charitable persona would definitely be a plus if she were to be the next queen. Number 6. She's athletic. Princess Anne is known for her love for horses and horse riding. But did you know she actually competed in the 1976 Montreal Olympic Games as part of the British equestrian team? Although she didn't win anything, she was the first royal to ever participate in the Olympics. It's important for public image purposes for a royal to be able to help themselves and be strong to the cameras, or you might be perceived as weak. As a horse rider, Princess Anne wouldn't have any problems as the Queen. Number 5. She's efficient. From the years of 2016 to 2019, the Princess Royal carried out 1,945 engagements. This means she managed to complete almost 2 engagements a day for 365 days. That is some insane efficiency for her to be able to keep up with. In fact, in 2019 alone, she completed 453 engagements in the UK, which was a higher number than everyone else that year. Number 4. She does things herself. On multiple occasions, Princess Anne has done menial tasks on her own, keeping her out the hair of many people. Speaking of hair, did you know Princess Anne actually does her own makeup and hair? She's also driven to engagements herself several times, 2 times of which she actually got speeding tickets because she was going too fast and was late to engagements. Number 3. She's respectful. During the funeral of Her Royal Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Princess Anne wore her military uniform with pride. It was a Royal Navy ceremonial outfit, and it was a part of an old historic procession. This was seen as very respectful, and people around the world appreciated the traditional respect she offered her late mother. Number 2. She's educated. Princess Anne was actually the first female of the royal family that received a formal education. She completed her 6 O-levels at Benenden School in Kent, leaving with 3 A-levels in English, history, and politics. This was actually the first time anyone in the royal family received an A-level in history and politics. Number 1. She's more qualified than the average royal. Many of the royals have unroyal-like feuds with each other. The royal family is susceptible to scrutiny all the time. With royals deciding to resign from their duties with all the drama, she proved over the years that she has many irreplaceable qualities. This is why she should be the next queen.
King Charles was seen freaking out with a bad temper on camera. Charles III of England has been king for less than a week but has made several gestures during his brief reign that has attracted attention on social media. The first of these came during his proclamation as king. Charles III had to sign documents to make official the succession of Queen Elizabeth II to him when he irritably asked for some inkwells to be moved away from the table where he had to sign. A body language expert said that King Charles' outburst at a leaky pen in Northern Ireland is a sign that things are starting to take their toll on the nation's new monarch. Charles was signing the guest book at Hillsborough Castle on September 13 when his pen began to leak on him, causing him to spring up and walk away. The king was vocal with his frustrations, making the room full of aides, and his wife Queen Consort Camilla became one of the awkward tensions. Shortly afterwards, already seated in the chair during the signing, Charles III continued to have problems because of the inkwell and asked the usher to remove the inkwell again in an image that has gone around the world. This week, the new King of England has once again been involved in another unpleasant scene, again because of an inkwell and a pen. It was during his visit to Northern Ireland when he had to sign the visitor's book. Charles III started to write in the document but got the wrong date. "Is it September 12th? He asked those present. "Today is the 13th, sir," they replied. It was then that he exclaimed, "Oh God, I've put the wrong date down." But the worst came when Charles III smudged his hand with the ink from the pen. He rose angrily from his chair and said, "Oh God, I hate this. I cannot bear this bloody thing. This is what happens every stinking time," he said His Majesty, after wife and Queen Consort Camilla pointed out that he wrote the wrong date on the document, and then he handed the pen to Camilla, the Queen Consort. Camilla could be heard adding, "Oh look, it's going everywhere," before she sat down and signed the guest book herself. According to Adrian Carter, a body language expert known as the Face Whisperer, Charles may now be reaching the end of his tether as the death of his mother and the enormous workload that he has since started to take their toll. It looks as if the emotions and tiredness are starting to take their toll on the new king and queen, Adrian told Daily Star. This is something that they would normally laugh off, but there's no laughing or lightheartedness. They are processing a lot this week, and as we draw closer to the funeral, we may see more evident of short tempers when things don't go quite to plan. Charles's outburst is his second publicly seen since he's been king, having a similar moment with an inkpot getting in his way as he signed the official documents for the Ascension Council last week. He signaled in a frustrating manner for an aide to clear the cram table. How would you feel if things were just not going your way, if you just had to be king right away?
King Charles III's swollen hands spark health concerns. King Charles sparks a wave of concern over his red and swollen fingers after Queen Elizabeth's passing. A senior lecturer at the University of Chester issued this shocking insight into Prince Charles's health. He began by telling the Daily Star that even though loads of conditions could lead to King Charles's swollen fingers, there are even more that have not yet been brought up. While talking to the publication, Dr. Nye was quoted saying, "Oedema is a condition where the body starts to retain fluids in the limbs, normally the legs and ankles, but also in the fingers, which causes them to swell. Oedema is a common condition and mostly affects people over the age of 65, as the ability for fluid control is restricted. To see if this is the cause, pressing the swollen area for about 15 seconds would cause a depression in the area." Arthritis, another common condition in the over 60s. It often affects three main areas in the hand: the thumb joint or either joints in the fingers. Fingers usually become stiff, painful, and swollen, and although medication can help with the pain, the swelling can remain. Uncommon causes may include high salt diet, leading to fluid retention. Certain medications can rarely lead to swelling as a side effect, such as with blood pressure medications or steroid medications. Before concluding, he also added there certainly aren't any immediate health concerns to be concluded from swollen fingers and is most likely a sign of his age. The king has taken a lighthearted approach in the past, having jokingly referred to himself as having sausage fingers in a letter to a friend after his son, William, the Prince of Wales, was born. He wrote, "I can't tell you how excited and proud I am. He really does look surprisingly appetizing and has sausage fingers just like mine." As quoted in the biography, Charles, the Man Who Will Be King.
The new King of England, formerly known as Prince Charles III, has been accused of projecting racism on a black man during a moment of meeting new fans of the royal family. It's only been a few days since King Charles III has taken on his new title, and he's been mentioned in the media quite a bit. From his angry state of signing legal documents, from his emotions being displayed while mourning his mother Queen Elizabeth II's death at her funeral, to his heartwarming speech towards Harry and Meghan, he has for sure been one of the most recent subjects of the media's interest regarding the royal family. However, the viral video online is far from understanding anything that has to do with the Queen or his family. In the video, fans are seen swarming the king in London to greet him while they're still mourning the death of Queen Elizabeth II. However, as the king is meeting many new people, a black man is waiting next to everybody else, patiently waiting to greet him. As the king approaches the man, he swats the man away in annoyance as if he were a fly, ignores him, and carries on to meet and greet the rest of the citizens. Very similar to the same incident incident which happened at Sesame Place with Rosita and the children being ignored. However, this one is much worse, considering that this is a new king and has many people looking up to him and living by his words. Now, as King Charles is still going down the line greeting people and shaking their hands, the same black man beside him puts his hand on his wrist but gets it yanked off after the king sees it's the same black man from moments before. Now, there's always people that will defend him in the wrong, but this has no justification and comes across completely arrogant, racist, and straight up disrespectful. It's very hard to call this situation a misunderstanding, as this is not the first time that King Charles has been accused of being racist. However, King Charles was also the same person that was allegedly accused of being racist. When Harry and Meghan Markle were expecting their first son Archie to be born, they mentioned in their CBS interview that a royal family member brought up concerns about their child's skin color. However, they chose not to mention anybody's name.
We have Adele. First of all, Adele is a fellow Londoner and shows many qualities a queen should show. Starting from humble beginnings, Adele hasn't changed who she was no matter how much fame or money she was given, which is something you can say is hard to find nowadays. In 2017, when the Grenfell Tower disaster occurred, Adele was there after to show her support for the 72 victims who lost their lives. She brought both awareness to the case and reminded others how good of a person she is. Number 9, Claire Foy. This one was a no-brainer since she literally stars as the queen in Netflix hit show The Crown. Her performance made everyone actually believe she was Queen Elizabeth for a second until she passed the baton to Olivia Colman and Imelda Staunton. The first season of The Crown, which chronicled the queen's life from her wedding in 1947 until 1955, has re-entered Netflix's weekly global top 10 chart following the news of her death. Foy won Best Actress awards at both the Emmys and Golden Globes for playing the queen. She was speaking to BBC News while promoting her new film Women Talking, in which she stars alongside Jessie Buckley, Rooney Mara, Ben Winshaw, and Frances McDormand. Number 8, Jennifer Lawrence. The Hunger Games superstar could definitely be a runner-up for the queen. Jennifer Lawrence is not only multi-talented, but she's as genuine as can be. She really doesn't care how the public views her, but instead she is just herself and acts that way all the time. We see time and time again with Jennifer Lawrence showing her human side that we can all relate to, eating pizza and even tripping as she got her award at the Oscars. She is not shy to admit her wrongdoings and owns up to them as a queen should. At our number 7 spot, we have Beyonce. Beyonce is an icon for ladies all across the globe. She has it all, the looks and the confidence, so it's no wonder why people look up to her. Hell, I even look up to her. So it makes it seem like she would be a good queen, right? Other than being a very kind person as well, Beyonce is also known as an environmental activist, which is probably one of the greatest traits she has that could resemble a real queen's traits. I mean, her nickname is literally Queen Bee. Other than her amazing qualities as a person, Beyonce has racked up 29 MTV Music Awards and 28 Grammys, so she is no stranger to public praise. At a number 6 spot, we have Emma Watson. With another fellow English person on this list, we have the elegant Emma Watson. Everyone knows her role as Hermione in the Harry Potter series, which ultimately kickstarted her career. But did you know that she is highly intelligent as well? She has studied at both Brown and Oxford University, and trust me, those are no walks in the park. On top of that, she is also a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador and is not afraid to face public issues in the face and use her large platform to bring even more awareness. Her work has been focused on female empowerment and promoting education equality globally. During one of her speeches, she issued a massive call to social media action through her hashtag #HeForShe campaign, and her voice was enough for the whole world to know. And did you know that Emma Watson often asks her fans to donate to organizations like UNICEF instead of sending her birthday or holiday gifts? She also regularly donates items to be auctioned off at charities like Wild Trout Trust and Mission Nutrition. Just make her queen next already. At a number 5 spot, we have Meryl Streep. Best known for her roles in Sophie's Choice, The Devil Wears Prada, and Mamma Mia, Meryl Streep is one of the best actresses of the generation. In a place like Hollywood, it's really easy to be arrogant and self-loathing, but not for Meryl. She has kept true to her humble roots. Co-star Olivia Colman once said, quote, "Meryl got nothing to prove, so there's no ego. She was lovely to be around." There's also the fact that Meryl never gets caught up in any sort of unnecessary scandals, which shows a lot about her character compared to people like the Kardashians or even Lindsay Lohan. Women's rights are important to Meryl as well, as she isn't afraid to speak out when Trump was elected. Her dedication to improving the world for women has led her to speaking at many important events and being a voice for women everywhere. With all this being said, do you think she'd make a good queen? At number 4 spot, we have Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama has been an icon for young women across the country since her arrival in the White House. Apart from other first ladies, Michelle had a very strong personality and wasn't afraid to bring up issues many of us didn't want to talk about. Using her personality and her confidence, Michelle motivated, inspired, and called others to action every time she gave a speech. In a 2015 commencement speech at Tuskegee University, she reminded black students to stay strong and persevere against the odds, also talking about the harsh realities they face in America. She had a background in injustice justice as she was a practicing lawyer and actually worked at the Chicago City Hall for a bit. The qualities that make her most fit to be the queen, in my opinion, is how she remains to be graceful under all this sort of pressure, and also that she's completely honest. Michelle once said, quote, "We learned about honesty and integrity, that the truth matters, that you don't take shortcuts or play by your own set of rules, and success doesn't count unless you earn it fair and square." Number 3, Kate Middleton. So finally, this is a celebrity who can realistically become queen one day. Well, queen consort to be exact, because those two are very different. She's an educated woman who gained her qualifications and continued to study at university, earning a degree in the history of art. She's constantly looking to help others, and she shows that by attending events for charities and other sorts of assistance. So when Prince William finally does become king, she'll officially be named Queen Catherine I. Number 2, Audrey Hepburn. No one was really as elegant as Audrey Hepburn, were they? Also from British origins, Audrey is praised as being a movie and also a fashion icon. I mean, have you seen what she looks like? Other than her looks, Audrey showed multiple traits that could lead many to believe that she would make a good queen if she was still alive today. And all the things Audrey did, acting, modeling, dancing, mothering, and charity work, she did with cool humbleness. She knew her limitations and often joked about it in public. Another trait I really appreciated from Hepburn was that she believed in the power of hard work. And imagine if the queen was open to talk about that type of stuff. Everyone would be working hard. One time Audrey said, quote, "Things aren't supposed to just fall into your lap. God is very generous, but he expects you to do your part first." And finally, Audrey has been known to help others, as she is caught saying, quote, "As you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping and the other one for helping others." At our number 1 spot, we have Sylvia Plath. Plath is a defining voice in the 20th century poetry. For women poets, she was also a turning point, a new vocal role model, but purely as a poet, she is part of the tradition for the whole poetic community. Most of today's leading poets, men included, would be a lot different if she never written at all. She was brave and bold enough to put her innermost thoughts and feelings out to the world to hear and understand. She released an autobiography named The Bell Jar, which talked about mental illness, which is very highly unrecognized back in those days. And if she was queen, maybe a country would be generations ahead.
10 reasons why King Charles won't be in the throne for long. Popularity. Prince Charles is the longest serving heir apparent in British history, but he hasn't enjoyed great popularity with people since more private details about his marriage to Diana, Princess of the People, became public knowledge. One 2018 poll showed that the popularity of the man who is now king is decreasing, while a recent Express poll revealed that people would prefer other royals ascend to the throne. Harsh, yes, but it's not completely without cause. William and Kate. Prince William and Duchess Kate and their 3 children are adored in England. In fact, a survey by BMG Research reveals that nearly half of British public want Prince Charles to step aside and give the throne to his oldest son now that the Queen has passed. Prince William and Duchess Kate have now been married for nearly a decade. The Atlantic calls them a fairy tale with their picture-perfect family and their distinct lack of scandals. Plus, Prince William and Prince Harry are the most liked royals since records began, according to the Evening Standard, so it makes sense that people want to see the most liked royals on the throne. They said Prince Harry's popularity may have taken a bit of a hit since he and Meghan stepped back from their royal duties, but it's still there. Princess Diana is still in our hearts. Princess Diana once said that she wanted to be the queen of people's hearts, and that was very much proved to be the case. It's also a big reason many people don't like her ex. They still haven't forgave him for how he treated Diana during their ill-fated marriage. King Charles publicly admitted that he started having an affair with Camilla in 1986 while he was still married to Princess Diana. He also treated Princess Diana poorly on a number of occasions. But in hindsight, we are finding out that Princess Diana treated him poorly on multiple occasions too, so there's 2 sides to each story. He's considered a petulant king. If you peruse most of the best-selling books about the real life of the royals, you'll see that King Charles isn't exactly praised by biographers. Even those with a credible connection to the king are quick to point out his flaws. For example, Tom Bower, the author of Rebel Prince, describes King Charles as being petulant and uncaring about the times when he causes harm. Some of his private rants and tantrums have been made public, further damaging his reputation. A longer reign shows consistency. His reign is inevitably going to be far shorter than the late Queen's time on the throne. While King Charles was 3 years old when he became the heir apparent. He is now, considering the late Queen became Queen when she was 25 years old. The fact that King Charles will have such a short reign concerns some people. Why? Because change on a grand scale can be scary, while consistency gives people a sense of what to expect. His good work doesn't make headlines. Although the new King Charles does in fact put a lot of work in as a royal and doing his royal deeds, unfortunately biographers have depicted such a poor picture of him due to Diana and all his other scandals that a lot of the work he doesn't in fact make headlines, and it's not heard of due to the overlapping of the scandals he's been involved with. Therefore, his popularity doesn't grow with good work but decreases with scandals. Animals. Although King Charles has taken a stand on important environmental issues such as sustainability and climate change, he has fallen pitifully short on animal welfare issues, whereas Prince Harry chose not to participate in a goose hunt recently. How heroic. King Charles has gone so far as to calling fox hunting romantic. Animals' rights is a growing topic of concern for Brits, so he is not going to win supporters by holding fast to those ideas and being vocal about them. Described as a snob, King Charles doesn't possess the charm and warmth that Princess Diana had. He comes across as aloof, and the New Yorker even described him as a snob. Although it may be unfair to compare King Charles to those who haven't been raised to view protocol and proper behavior as such a priority, the king doesn't always seem to be eager to relate to ordinary people. Prince William, on the other hand, has reached out to people much as his mother did, and he has a compassionate way about him. This is what many people want to see in a king. Afraid of failure. The role of a monarch is not one to be taken lightly by any means, and people fear that King Charles just doesn't have what it takes to rise to the occasion. Whether because of his personality traits or capabilities or something else entirely, if people don't have confidence that he will do a good job, it will be hard for them to go behind him. How do you think he's been doing? Security threats. Now that the king's in the spotlight, unfortunately the egg won't be the last time we see someone try to assault the king. Unfortunately, this is just a realisticality of having a fanatic group of supporters for Diana, and although it was a while ago these issues happened, in the spotlight now this is gonna rise to the top, and we're gonna see a lot of people going against the now king. The late Queen Elizabeth had a lot of people on her side where the new King Charles doesn't, and this could raise a lot of security threats in the future, especially trying to proceed in his royal duties of doing walkabouts and charity funds and being out in the public. Now, I know there are going to be taking security measures, but you can only be so careful. Tragedy does happen.
Today, we are going to be sipping on some more royal tea as we talk about the top 10 reasons why King Charles won't be on the throne for long. Starting off with number 10, as most of the royals, King Charles has quite a controversial history. Knowing the times he's grown up in, we can't easily say he just doesn't know any better, but I can't say I'd be surprised to know he doesn't really keep any woke people around him. I mean, after all, who would dare correct the king, right? In number 9, the royal scandals aren't complete with a little sprinkle of cheating. The prince infamously had an affair with Camilla while married to Princess Diana. And if you're unfamiliar with the story, the late princess had known about the affair and even had affairs of her own, but the lack of attention she was getting from her husband, also the father of two, Harry and William, was upsetting for her. After a transcript of a phone call between Charles and Camilla was leaked, which, side note, is very invasive, it revealed their affair because of how sexual the phone call was and was later named the Tampon Gate Scandal. Yeah, you heard that right. During the conversation, a very famous line said by Charles is constantly mocked, where he says he wants to become a tampon so he could live inside Camilla's pants. How romantic. All the Princess Diana lovers also made it their mission to become extreme haters of Charles and even Camilla, leaving the royal affair and the two involved very unpopular amongst many. The HBO documentary The Princess even insinuates that Prince Charles may have been jealous of how much more popular Diana was than the prince himself. Yikes, that's a little embarrassing. But to be fair, the late princess was a true icon in more than one sense. I mean, her fashion choices are still being recreated in this day and age. Her impact was crazy. Now for Charles, I don't think we can say the same. Now, although we are unsure how the two sons feel about their parents' tragic ending, this family does seem to stick by each other. Because even when Prince Harry made the big boy decision to move out of the royal palace and lifestyle that came with it as a father, Charles made sure his son and daughter-in-law had a comfortable start to their new life, even though I'm sure he was unhappy with their decision. This cheating scandal leads up to the 8th reason, the breaking of royal protocols. After admitting that Charles had been cheating on Princess Diana, the two had filed for divorce after being separated for 4 years. After the news was released, we had seen the former princess attending an event with the infamous revenge dress, which was a mini black dress with a plunging neckline showing off her pearly necklace. Honestly, big moment for Diana, and we loved to see it. The monarchy usually frowns upon divorces and remarries, and when Charles had done both and tied the knot with Camilla, a lot of people were unhappy with this decision, including members of the royals. Down to number 7, Prince Charles has been accused of attempting to influence the British government. In 2015, Charles received confidential papers on the inner workings of the British government that even elected ministers hadn't seen. How did he manage to get his hands on these papers? I have a feeling the excuse that he was a part of the monarchy is not a good enough reason, but for now, let's just say that is why, since it is undetermined. The Guardian received 27 memos dubbed the Black Spider Memos because it showed that the royal prince was somehow engaged in efforts about a range of issues, from orders of military helicopters during the Iraq War to illegal fishing of the Patagonian toothfish. The controversy here is that some believe it is normal for a royal to be involved in political affairs, while some think the members of the family should stay out of politics. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section if you believe royals should be involved in politics or should just stick to the other royal duties that steer clear of the political side. In number 6, another scandal for us to talk about, Charles allegedly accepted unofficial commissions from a previous Qatari prime minister for his charitable endeavors. As a supporter of homeopathy, he'd earned the label of being anti-science. Charles has also drawn criticism for his lavish spendings. The king has 6 homes on his estate, 11 secretaries, a large staff of servants, many expensive cars, and an annual salary of $20 million. I get that he is a king, but it is very interesting to know not only does he have this insane annual income, but on top of that, the whole family is extremely secretive of their wealth and where exactly they are possibly getting this amount of money from. Any theories? I want to know what you think they could be doing for them to be able to afford this lifestyle. Number 5 on our list, Charles's alleged racism towards Meghan Markle. This allegation is not the greatest to have for anyone, and as a king, it is truly unacceptable. During the interview where Meghan and Harry opened up to Oprah, there was a statement Meghan had made about how she had received criticism for her skin tone from a family member. Even though she didn't directly expose who it was, and when we think about the extreme racist past this former prince has had, it made many believe Charles to be the one to have had an issue with Meghan. There have been claims made within the palace of progress being made, but not fast enough. This is pretty relevant through the most recent allegations, not just made against Charles, but the other members of the royal family, and even the royal staff have been catching strays over comments being made and behavior towards people of other ethnicities. A quick rundown of a few problematic things that have been said by the royals. The late Prince Philip was infamously known for his racist past, which no matter how many royal titles you have, being titled a racist is simply horrifying. He has made comments about eye shapes of people of Asian descent, made a statement about someone not being eaten in the jungle, and even asking natives if they still throw spears at each other. Real facepalm moment because he really should have known better. And although alleged efforts are being made to become more progressive, a lot of the time, it just doesn't seem good enough. Other members who have been exposed for their ignorance was one of the late Queen's longtime assistants who was repeatedly asking a black British charity boss where she was really from. The assistant later resigned and apologized, but you can't help but wonder why the family wouldn't keep 1, a more diverse staff, and 2, since they do travel a lot, why they don't have a better understanding of culture and ethnicities. But then again, it all seems like the royals are used to being able to get away with a lot of scandals because of their power, and that isn't limited to their contributions within the British media. Down to number 4, another scandal the king had been involved in. British police had launched an investigation with Charles's charity, the Prince's Trust, after reports of a cash for honors scheme. Earlier this year, accusations were made that a close aide, Michael Fawcett, offered a Saudi tycoon a knighthood in exchange for $2 million in donations. The investigation started after it was reported that Fawcett stepped down from his role as the chief executive of the foundation after being accused of misconduct. It was reported that tens of thousands of dollars were paid to make up for links to the prince. So basically, they were trying to bribe Fawcett by offering him a royal title in exchange for money, which allegedly would be going towards their foundation. That sounds really suspicious. As hard as it might be for Charles, a key part of being the king is winning over the people. And as overwhelming his scandalous past has been, it is no surprise that there are still people who do not care for him as a king. Many reports from royal sources have claimed that the newly appointed king has waited 70 years for this moment and wants to do as much as he can to become a progressive monarchy and also to win over the hearts of the nation as well as internationally. But because of their actions, media outlets and those who are more engaged in the royal family drama, like us, have been diving more into the history of the royals, which let me tell you is not the most perfect or influential history in the world. Tainted by the countless controversies and scandals, the royal family has been catching a lot of heat about how they are not using their power for the greater good, but rather are abusing it while also remaining secretive. What are your thoughts? Do you think the royal family is being smart about the power they have? Considering the scandals the king and other members have been a part of, is it acceptable for them to be the way they are portrayed in the media? On to number 2, the royal couple Harry and Meghan have constantly been making headlines, which in turn makes the king look bad. If the news coverage was not harshly criticizing the every move of the Sussexes, the royal family would not be getting as much attention. Now we all know that this couple stepped away from the royal life, and although this caused a great uproar within the nation, we can only imagine what went down in the palace when this news was first broken to the family. It's like 2 teenagers saying they want to leave their home, except it's a lot more responsibility with royal titles on the line. I wonder how as a father Charles felt, even though we know he sent them on their way with a very generous amount of money to help them with their transition. So King Charles's official coronation is set to be in May, and many people do not want Meghan and Harry to show up. Being as rebellious as they are, I wouldn't be surprised if they came anyway, well, because 1, that is Harry's dad after all, and it's a big milestone for him, but also 2, the couple has made a point to not care about the criticism and backlash they have been getting during and after the time as royals. What do you think? Is the couple going to make an appearance at this royal event? Even though we all know if they do, the tension will be thick enough to cut with a knife. The king is preparing to deliver his first Christmas speech as monarch, which was said to be carefully written after the highly talked about docuseries made by and featuring Harry and Meghan, which was released earlier this month. Viewers are wondering if the king will address the couple in his speech along with Harry's remark about the family lying to protect Prince William. That could be one juicy speech, but personally, considering it is a message on Christmas, which usually does not involve themes of betrayal and lying, I highly doubt that will be addressed. A lot of the time, they tend to be quite unpredictable, so I guess we're gonna have to see. The speech, which was last announced by the Queen in 1957 and was the first televised one, this speech, which was recorded on December 13th, will be broadcast on Christmas Day, however the scheduled time has not yet been confirmed. And on to our final point, number 1 on our list is the history of scandals within the royal family leading up to Charles's contribution to the controversies. As we have already discovered, the royal family has a rule where it is frowned upon to divorce and also marry divorcees. Other members who have broken this rule include King Edward VIII, who fell in love with an American woman who had been divorced once before. His strong love towards her led him to step down from the throne to marry her. Princess Margaret also fell in love with a married man who ended up divorcing his wife and proposed to the princess. Back then, the Church of England did not accept this kind of marriage, and it did not end in a happy ending for the couple since they ended up having to call off the engagement. Just as the Tampon-Gate scandal that was revealed through a leaked phone call between Charles and Camilla, Diana's phone calls with her secret affair have also been leaked. This, among other things, led Diana to participate in an interview which eventually ended her long-gone relationship with Charles.
Popularity. Prince Charles is the longest serving heir apparent in British history, but he hasn't enjoyed great popularity with people since more private details about his marriage to Diana, Princess of the People, became public knowledge. One 2018 poll showed that the popularity of the man who is now king is decreasing, while a recent Express poll revealed that people would prefer other royals ascend to the throne. Harsh, yes, but it's not completely without cause. William and Kate. Prince William and Duchess Kate and their 3 children are adored in England. In fact, a survey by BMG Research reveals that nearly half of British public want Prince Charles to step aside and give the throne to his oldest son now that the Queen has passed. Prince William and Duchess Kate have now been married for nearly a decade. The Atlantic calls them a fairy tale with their picture-perfect family and their distinct lack of scandals. Plus, Prince William and Prince Harry are the most liked royals since records began. According to the Evening Standard, so it makes sense that people want to see the most liked royals on the throne. They said Prince Harry's popularity may have taken a bit of a hit since he and Meghan stepped back from their royal duties, but it's still there. 10 reasons why King Charles won't be in the throne for long. Age. Of course, people work effectively past 75 in many professions. Some stay vital into their 90s or even beyond. And most societies would benefit from gleaning more wisdom from their elders. However, presiding over a nation state is unlike most other jobs in the world. Charles at least holds a ceremonial post. The stakes for other world leaders are far higher, rendering cognitive decline and unusual fraught problems and stress. Grueling schedules, sleep deprivation can exacerbate the effects of aging. How imprudent for a great power such as the United States to have presidential elections in which candidates vie for the presidency while the public watches debates for signs of dementia. 7 US senators are in their 80s. Some current and former members of Congress have struggled to carry out their duties without constant assistance from staff. Plus, representation matters. Young people should have more of a say in the future that they alone will inhabit. William and Kate, Prince William, Duchess Kate, and their 3 children are adored in England. A survey by BMG Research reveals that nearly half of the British public want Prince Charles to step aside and give the throne to his oldest son, now that the late Queen has passed. Prince William and Duchess Kate have now been married for nearly a decade. The Atlantic calls them a fairy tale with their picture-perfect family and their distinct lack of scandals. Plus, Prince William and Prince Harry are the most liked royals since records began, according to the Evening Standard. So it makes sense that people want to see their most liked royals on the throne. That said, Prince Harry's popularity may have taken a bit of a hit since he and Meghan stepped back from their royal duties. Afraid of failure. The role of a reigning monarch is not one to be taken lightly by any means, and people fear that King Charles just doesn't have what it takes to rise to the occasion, whether because of his personality traits or capabilities or something else entirely. If people don't have confidence that he will do a good job, it'll be hard for them to get behind him. How do you think he's been doing? His reign is inevitably going to be far shorter than the late Queen Elizabeth's time on the throne, because King Charles was only 3 when he became the heir apparent. He's now 70. The late Queen Elizabeth became queen when she was 25 years old. The fact that King Charles will have such a short reign concerns some people. Why? Because change on a grand scale can be scary, while consistency gives people a sense of what to expect. After spending almost 6 decades preparing to be king, one would assume he's ready for the job, but the Man Time magazines, recently dubbed the Forgotten Prince, is hardly blessed with the wisdom of Solomon. Duchy Originals, a company owned by Prince Charles, released a range of organic baby care products for an eye-watering £190. To celebrate the birth of Prince George, let's not forget his range of Golden Jubilee paraphernalia. Prince George and Mummy are 2 Charles money-making opportunities, as well as family. Charles's estate, the Duchy of Cornwall, last year earned himself a personal income of £19 million. He voluntarily paid $4.4 million in income tax, as he doesn't have to pay company tax. Guess which tax rate would cost him more? As of today, Charles will also claim a pension due to his time in the Royal Navy. But it's okay, he says he'll give taxpayers money to charity. All this is from a man who is now on the throne. I'm not sure about you, but do you think you're in safe hands? Personally, I don't care. List of demands. King Charles was reportedly nicknamed the Pampered Prince by his staff at Clarence House, where he lived with his wife, Queen Consort Camilla, from 2003 until he recently took the throne. Details of the former Prince of Wales' lavish requests were revealed in the 2015 Amazon Prime documentary, Serving the Royals, inside the firm. Paul Burrell, who served as a butler to Queen Elizabeth and Princess Diana, revealed the precise directions the king's staff are given to take care of him, from ironing his shoelaces to putting toothpaste on his toothbrush. The former butler shared that King Charles had everything. His pajamas are pressed every morning, his shoelaces are pressed flat with an iron, the bath plug has to be in a certain position, and the water temperature has to be just tepid. in a bathtub filled only half full. Burrell said the king even has his valets squeeze 1 inch of toothpaste onto his toothbrush every morning. After getting ready, King Charles' strict morning routine is continued with his breakfast. Prince Charles has a healthier option. He'd have homemade bread, fresh fruit juices, said Chef Graham Newbold, a former member of the royal staff. Wherever the prince goes in the world, the breakfast box goes with him. He had 6 different types of honey, some special muesli, his dried fruit, and anything that's a bit special that he is a bit fussy about. He also supposedly insists his cheese and biscuits be warmed to a certain temperature at the end of meals to make his staff keep a warming tray nearby, since he's particular about everything, a royal insider told My London. Something else means more to him. King Charles III will be crowned in an official ceremony in May next year. Although it won't be as lavish as his mother's, the ceremony will be a testament to the monarchy's survival and continuation after centuries. But how long will it last? Astrology might be able to give the public an insight into how many years the monarch has left. According to a psychic and astrologer, celebrity psychic Jasmine Anderson spoke to express.co.uk about how the alignment of the planets during King Charles' coronation next year could reveal the future of his reign. Jasmine said, right off the bat, I am not seeing King Charles being our king for very long. To begin with, the day of his coronation is May 6th, and we will be in Mercury retrograde. She explained Mercury retrograde occurs when it appears that Mercury is going backwards in the sky. It isn't actually going backwards. Thank you for the insight. It's just an illusion because of how the planets in the solar system orbit the sun. Mercury rules communication, travel, messages, and electrical equipment. These can become temperamental during a retrograde. I always tell my clients to expect delays during a retrograde. Have a backup plan. Make sure to check travel plans in advance. Except miscommunication. It's also not a good time to start anything new, move houses, or start a new job. If you can help it, this goes for starting new relationships also. It isn't, therefore, a good time to be crowned, which is essentially the first official step in Charles' journey as king. Jasmine continued, starting something new during a retrograde can often mean problems will occur later on and it will be short-lived. The psychic read her tarot cards, which she often does for clients, before delving into another theory. She revealed, diving in a little deeper into some tarot, it looks like he will go through with his coronation and he will be successful, but it won't be a long reign, like I felt. Although Jasmine doesn't doubt Charles will be a good king, she said she does feel one thing will hold him back from his royal duties and priorities, his decisions going forward. There's no doubt that Charles is cut out for the job. He has trained his whole life for it, Jasmine said. However, when it comes to his love for Camilla, I feel it will put a huge strain on their relationship, which he won't want to jeopardize. The public is very divided on how they feel about Camilla as queen consort. They hold Camilla and King Charles responsible for the pain Diana went through. Diana is still in the hearts and minds of the public as the people's princess, and even after all these years she's been gone, she's still upstaging them. I see Camilla being very affected by how the public view her, and this will be telling on their relationship to Charles. They are soulmates. She means more to him than the crown. So what would happen if Charles evicted? As the heir to the throne, Prince William would automatically take his place, and Jasmine said she believes this is likely to happen. She said, I feel the crown would be passed to William initially, and William will have much more success as king than Charles. I feel Harry and William could be coming together here and ending their strife. As for the royal family in general, will we have much future kings and queens? I feel much of the royal family will begin to live a life away from the public eye. I feel it is ending with William and Harry. So yes, I put this into the video because it's cool that this is a point. It's psychic readings, it's tarot cards. I don't know if you believe in astrology, but I don't. So just grain of salt here. Microscopic grain of salt. Just so small. No jubilee. Jubilees are held every 10 years of the monarch's reign to celebrate their achievements and longevity. The Queen's Platinum event is commemorating her 70 years on the throne, which is some achievement for the 96-year-old. However, writing on Twitter, expert Victoria Arbiter, it's unlikely 73-year-old now King Charles would rule long enough to commemorate one. She said, given how late King Charles will come to the throne, it could be 40 plus years before UK marks another royal jubilee. Prince William's silver will most likely be next. It could be 2062 before Brits are able to have more days of guilt-free boozing and patriotism. Responding to Victoria's hopes that the public enjoys the occasion for what it is. One royalist stressed people weren't so ungrateful, they said, they will if they just ignore the Republican noise. Let people squawk, HM deserves this. Prince Charles has been playing an increasingly lead role in royal occasions of late as the Queen continues to step from frontlines duties due to rumors, mobility issues. This article was written before the Queen passed away, but it just basically highlights that he's gonna be too old to have a jubilee. Secretive. Camilla threatened to expose King Charles' deepest, darkest secrets, and the monarch is on red alert. These revelations have been brought forward by an informant close to the nation's inquiry. The insiders started off by making explosive revelations about Queen Camilla's issues and revealed during one of their marriage crises, Camilla threatened a tell-all book exposing his deepest secrets, including his kinky sex habits. This comes amid a similar admission by a source who explains that reality of the tough spot King Charles is under and said, make no mistake, Charles has waited decades to become king and he wants to cement his place in history. He won't let anything or anyone, even Camilla, stand in his way. Security measures. When the government introduced stricter regulations on trespassing in certain protected sites such as Downing Street, Chequers, and Buckingham Palace, Charles' home in Tetbury was also granted this level of protection as he was then the heir to the throne. Another change made for King Charles' safety was removal of any public footpaths running too closely to the property. Arthur relived the moment. I'm walking along the path with a big telescope lens on my shoulder and he came galloping on his horse. What are you doing on my land? He screamed, and I said, I'm not on your land, I'm on public footpaths, sir. One visible security measure outside the house is the large stone wall around the perimeter, and overhead the skies are protected from intrusion as they are aerial inclusion zone for civil aircrafts. And this rule has been in place since 1991. Now, you may be asking, what does this have to do with his longevity? I'm just saying that he is a bit older, so security risks are a lot higher, and I think it's fair that they amplify these considering an egg almost took him out. Thank you for watching.
10 secrets King Charles will take to the grave. Camilla secrets. Camilla is threatening to expose King Charles's deepest, darkest secrets, and the monarch is on red alert. These revelations have been brought forward by an informant close to National Enquirer. The insiders started off by making explosive revelations about Queen Camilla's issues and revealed during one of their marriage crises, Camilla threatened a tell-all book exposing his deepest secrets, including his kinky intimacy habits. This comes amid a similar admission by the source who explained the reality of the tough spot King Charles is under and said, make no mistake, Charles has waited decades to become king, and he wants to cement his place in history. He won't let anything or anyone, even Camilla, stand in his way. Secret skill. Behind closed doors, the 74-year-old monarch is a proficient ice skater and even has a certificate in the sport. The king reportedly learned to ice skate at the Richmond Ice Rink, receiving a certificate of merit in March 1962 when he was 14. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, enjoyed skating during childhood too, taking lessons at the Park Lane Ice Club. Her Majesty also served as royal patron for British ice skating's national governing body from 1952. Following her passing, British ice skating even released a statement saying, for those skaters who have been fortunate enough to have met her over the years, she conveyed warmth, passion, and a genuine interest in our wonderful sport. Real dad. In this article, it repeats as follows. Globe claimed that the heir to the throne finally told the Duke of Sussex the truth of his parentage. An unnamed source told the tabloid that Prince Charles became so fed up with Meghan Markle's whining that he summoned his youngest son to Buckingham Palace. While there, Prince Charles reportedly dropped a huge bombshell about not being Prince Harry's biological father. The insider even claimed to have known the exact words that Prince Charles reportedly told Prince Harry, "I am not your biological father. After your brother William's birth, your mother and I grew apart. Diana betrayed me and conceived you during a secret affair with another man," the insider claimed. But the shocking claims don't end there. Prince Charles reportedly told Markle's husband that he's known the truth for years since he took a DNA test that proved that they were not related. Some juicy stuff here. Red box. Britain's royalty likely knows more state secrets than any family in history thanks to personal briefings and the mysterious red box of secrets, delivered daily to the monarch wherever they may be. The royal boxes are bursting with secrets from British intelligence agencies, British government ministers, and Commonwealth countries. Documents are sent through the private secretary's office to the king or queen, wherever they are in residence, in a locked red dispatch box. But what's inside? During the reign of Queen Victoria, 1837 to 1901, one of the red box's reports concerned Russian military intentions that had come from a human source via the Duke of Wellington, according to Spying in the Crown 2021. Together, the PM and Queen decided the intelligence was unlikely to be true. In any case, they couldn't verify it. But the historic meeting illustrated that the red box of intelligence has long predated the 1909 founding of Britain's elite MI6 intelligence service. The tradition of the dispatch box can be traced back to the reign of Queen Elizabeth I from 1558 to 1603, where the term dispatch referred to an important message for the Queen. The modern red leather and pine boxes used by royalty and government to transport state documents were introduced in the early 1840s under Queen Victoria. What do you think is inside King Charles's red box? List of demands. King Charles was reportedly nicknamed the Pampered Prince by his staff at Clarence House, where he lived with his wife, Queen Consort Camilla, from 2003 until he recently took the throne. Details of the former Prince of Wales's lavish requests were revealed in the 2015 Amazon Prime documentary Serving the Royals Inside the Firm. Paul Burrell, who served as a butler to Queen Elizabeth and Princess Diana, revealed the precise directions the king's staff are given to care for him. From ironing his shoelaces to putting toothpaste on his toothbrush, the former butler shared that King Charles had everything. His pajamas are pressed every morning, his shoelaces are pressed flat with an iron, the bath plug was to be in a certain position, and the water temperature has to be just tepid, in a bathtub filled only half full, Burrell said. The king even has his valets squeeze 1 inch of toothpaste onto his toothbrush every morning. After getting ready, King Charles' strict morning routine is continued with his breakfast. Prince Charles has a healthier option. He'd have homemade bread, a bowl of fresh fruit juices, said Chef Graham Newbold, a former member of the royal staff. Wherever the prince goes in the world, the breakfast box goes with him. He has 6 different types of honey, some special mueslis, his dried fruit, and anything that's a bit special that he is a bit fussy about. He also supposedly insists his cheese and biscuits be warmed to a certain temperature at the end of meals and makes his staff keep a warming tray nearby, since he's particular about everything, a royal insider told My London. Security measures. When the government introduced stricter regulations on passing in certain protected sites such as Downing Street, Chequers, and Buckingham Palace, Charles's home in Tetbury was also granted this level of protection as he was heir to the throne. Another change made for King Charles's safety was the removal of any public footpaths running too close to the property. Arthur relived the moment. "I'm walking along this path with a big telescope lens on my shoulder, and he came galloping up on his horse. 'What are you doing on my land?' he screamed. And I said, 'I'm not on your land, I'm on a public footpath, sir.' One visible security measure outside the house is the large stone wall around the perimeter. And overhead, the skies are protected from intrusion as there is an aerial exclusion zone for civilian aircrafts. And this rule has been in place since 1991. Inside the house, there is also a major security feature, a secret panic room, should the heir and his wife need to use it in an emergency. There has been rife speculation about what could be stored in the safe space. Anything from food supplies through to possibly blood supplies that match the blood groups for Charles and Camilla. Drinking. King Charles III's secret drinking habit has been revealed, but the drink has to be served in a very, very specific way. Charles's friend, Count Tibor Kalnoky, said the king visited him in Transylvania, Romania, a number of years ago. Count Tibor added that the king liked the area so much, he decided to buy a property there, while he also revealed that during his trip, Charles drank a martini every night before having dinner. Bullied at school. Charles was bullied at school. Children called him fatty, and picked on his prominent ears. His great uncle, Earl Mountbatten, urged Charles's parents to have them surgically pinned back to no avail. This is the small amount that was told on the subject, but maybe Charles cut out the funnel cakes and kids won't call you names. Underage. Charles ordered a cherry brandy for 2 shillings and a 6-piece in an Isle of Lewis pub after riding on a Gordon Stone school sailboat. It was illegal for under 18-year-olds to be served, and unfortunately for Charles, a reporter was sitting at the bar. A national scandal ensued, and the prince's bodyguard, Don Green, lost his job. Magic. Charles has a love for magic, and was inducted into the Magic Circle in 1975 after performing a cup and balls trick, though his acceptance may have been pre-decided as his certificate was signed in advance of the audition.
10 rules King Charles doesn't have to follow. Taxes. King Charles III won't have to pay a dime in inheritance tax. This is a huge win for King Charles, as the unfortunate passing of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, he gained a rather large inheritance. Most people would have to pay roughly 40% in taxes on an inheritance upwards of $375,000. The decision that the British monarch would not have to pay an inheritance tax came about in 1993, when then Prime Minister John Major agreed to a tax arrangement with the royal family. Major said, "In the unique circumstances of a hereditary monarch, special arrangements are needed for inheritance tax." Forbes estimated he inherited his mother's portfolio worth $500 million, to which not a dime goes anywhere except to the king, including the $42 billion fortune belonging to the crown. This tax deal also exempts them from paying income tax, a deal to which Queen Elizabeth and now King Charles both agreed to do so anyway. No hassle flights. King Charles won't need a passport, so King Charles, go ahead and shred that passport because we know who you are. British passports are issued in the name of the monarch, so when you are the monarch, doesn't really make sense, does it? The Queen was the only member of the royal family who was afforded this privilege. As Royal points out, even her husband Prince Philip and the Prince Charles had to travel with a passport. However, by this logic, Charles as king will get an exemption. Therefore, King Charles never has to deal with the panic of misplacing his passport, and to that I must admit my jealousy. I am speed. Well, not me, but King Charles. King Charles doesn't have to obey by speed limits. To a degree. The Road Traffic Regulations Act means that vehicles associated with police, fire, and ambulance services are exempt from following speed limits when they're performing their specific duties. So King Charles can't just zoom 120 past everyone in a school zone, but when the royal family is on duty, they're accompanied by a police escort, which means the speed limit is merely assigned to them. A rep for the Department for Transportation told outlets the Prime Minister and royal family are driven by police, so the driver would be exempt because the police have an exemption in law. Privacy. In brief, the Freedom of Information Act 2000 provides public access to information held by public authorities. It does this in 2 ways. Public authorities are obligated to publish certain information about their activities, and members of the public are entitled to request information from public authorities. The royal family is in fact exempt from this act, due to the fact they are not technically a public authority. However, the royal family willingly provides information to account openly for its use of the public's money and try to be as transparent in many areas. In this regard, they have used this act before, not releasing information or press on subjects that could negatively affect their image. Immunity. No, not to disease, but to prosecution. Although civil and criminal proceedings cannot be taken against the sovereign as a person under UK law, the Queen is careful to ensure that all her activities in her personal capacity are carried out in a strict accordance with the law. Even though she knew she was protected, the Queen made sure not to take advantage of her immunity. This means King Charles will have the same immunity and has already seen a bit of it, with a scandal coming out against his charity to which he had no legal action taken against him, nor got linked to the event. I'm sure there are certain things you just can't get away with immunity, but let's see how morally correct everyone watching this is. If you had full immunity, what would you do? Jury duty. Anyone who has done jury duty is going to be fairly jealous for this one, but you could have guessed it, the king doesn't have to do jury duty. In all fairness, I would have never wanted the king to be part of a jury if I had a court case. This used to be the case for all the royals, but Desmond Turner, a member of parliament, said, "The notion that anyone is too grand or too clever or too important to serve on a jury is not to be borne." So that eliminated a blanket pass for anyone in the royal family, but not for the monarch or immediate family members. So sorry to all but immediate family of the royals, but you do have to sit through my deposition regarding my parking tickets. All the swans. The king can claim each and every swan that lives in England, to which he desires. The rule goes back to earlier English rule, but is still in effect for a reason of tradition or the possibility that no one has bothered to revise it. Swans were considered a culinary delicacy. In current times, it is illegal to consume most swans because they are protected by wildlife. I've had duck, and if swan tastes like duck, then the king should cash in on that before they revise it. No passport, no driver's license. The king doesn't need to use a driver's license. The reason is that such official documents are technically issued by the monarch. The head of the roads policy for Britain's Automobile Association, Jack Cousins, spoke to the Mirror in September 2022. Driving licenses are issued by His/Her Majesty's government under His/Her Majesty's authority. Cousins said, as such, Charles does not need one. Unfortunately, he is the only royal who's exempt from driver's license, but imagine how hard it would be to suspend a license of non-existence. No legal last names. This is pretty straightforward. They do not need nor are obligated to use their legal last names on anything. They do technically have last names, but are not obligated to use them at all. No custody battles. While regular grandparents have to go through the courts if they want custody of their grandkids, the king has automatic legal custody of all his descendants and his minor grandchildren. This means Charles technically has custody of Prince William and Kate Middleton's 3 children, Prince George, Prince Charlotte, and Prince Louis, and Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's children, Archie and Lilibet. This 300-year rule may seem old, and though it's unlikely the king would ever take his grandchildren away from their parents, the law is still technically there. Thank you for watching.